Hi guys, great work in Module 1. There were some really interesting articles that were really fun to read over, but I wanted to clarify a couple of points on the differences between some popular press articles versus academic articles. So for this class, I'm not going to expect you guys to have to dig through some of those very cumbersome academic journals. Instead, we'll be focusing more on the popular science articles. So I wanted to give you some tips on how to find those using the Lane Library's website. So you can see we are here now. If we scroll down, I really enjoy using Galileo. So we'll click on Galileo. You can type anything that you might be interested in. So let's say I want to look up corals. We can type in corals into that search bar. And we start seeing all sorts of different things. We see some books, some references, but we don't want books or academic journals. We really want to focus on those popular science articles. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to this limited by type. We're going to click on the news. And you see already we get different news articles. And we can also go down and click on magazine. We want to make sure that we aren't looking at the academic journals and getting some very cumbersome articles that are difficult to get through and are very heavy with jargon. So then already you can see that we've got a bunch of different periodical postings that we can start to look into. And then remember, for this last assignment, I said that we wanted it to be published within the 2017 window. So we can go down to this area and limit it to a certain date range. So you can just type it in 2017 to 2018. And now already we see coral reef scene, and we can see that it's where it's published, when it's published. We can go to the HTML full text or get a PDF of that text. So those are some of the ways using Galileo. Now, if we go get the PDF of this article, when I ask for a link to this website, I want to make sure that you guys give one that everyone has access to. So instead of just going up to the search bar up here and copying this and pasting it into your post, make sure that you get the permalink. This up here is really only a user specific for your time in Galileo. So I can't click on that and get to this exact same page. I get an error message instead. So to make sure that everyone is able to read the original article that you posted, instead go over to this right-hand bar. You'll see what looks kind of like a safety pin. This is called a permalink. So you're going to click on the permalink, and then up here at the top, see it gives you a new HTML. You can copy and paste that, and that is usable by anyone that has access to Armstrong's collections. So if you're logged in, especially if you're logged in with D2L, then you should have access to this, okay? So another thing I wanted to point out to you guys is if we are looking back at Armstrong's website, let's go all the way back to the Armstrong Library. So if you ever have issues, I just type in Armstrong Library, and you usually get the Lane Library as one of the first things in Google. When you are in Armstrong's library link, they also have subject guides. So I linked to some of these subject guides, but in case you want to find them on your own, or in case you want to use them for other classes, you can go into the subject guides. For this class, scroll down to biology. When you click on the biology subject guide, you're going to get put into this website. Now, this is really great. It gives you some different search tools that are very good for finding biology tools, but you'll notice here, these search bars up here are specifically tailored to finding different types of sources. So we have a find peer review articles, which we aren't necessarily going to be looking at for this class. Remember, we want the popular science articles. But we can look at find general press articles. This is one of the websites that I had you guys looking at for the sources. Here you can see if you want a reminder of the differences between the scholarly peer-reviewed and popular press articles, there are some good tips in here. And there are some good ways to find some of those magazines, news, and trade publications. And it also gives you the same way, some of those tips in Galileo, how to filter those results. But if we click on biology news on the web, you'll see here that they actually have a scrolling feed on the left-hand side of some of the more popular of those science news venues. So things like Scientific American, the New York Times, Eureka Alert, Nature News. So you might just want to scroll through these and see what's popping up that was recently published. And you can go through and say, insects conquered a watery realm with just 2 genes. I'm really interested in that. Click on that link and get brought straight to that page. So that is another option. You don't necessarily have to use the Galileo search bar. Another option is looking at, if we go into your D2L, in the eClassroom within Module 1, remember that there is the good sources for science news that I posted. Okay, so if you look in the content, you can find this good sources for popular science news. If we open that up, then I've given you a list of different types of science news venues that I find very useful. And you might just want to click on one of these links, let's say Science Daily, and you can look through what has been recently posted and see if there's anything that you like in here that you want to post about or that you want to submit. So these are some very good ways to find some of those articles. And remember, we want to look for these popular science articles that are not so full of jargon, that are written with a general public audience in mind, and that are a little bit more exciting to read than having to sift through those very lengthy articles that are written by scientists for scientists and published in those academic journals. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever on what sorts of sources we want to use or how to find those sources, please shoot me an email or post a question to the general questions for the instructor feed, and I'd be happy to help you guys out. You can always talk to the librarians at the Lane Library as well. They do have a chat feature on their website, so you can contact librarians even if you are not in the library itself. So let's look towards posting for Module 2, and there is an assignment coming up that you will be using another one of these popular science articles for. So if you have any questions, please let me know before you have to post for that, and I'd be happy to help you guys out. Thanks.